These pants are amazing. They're full of really cool details. I'm super excited to share. Facing finish, which we all love. Hi sewing friends, I'm Karina from liftingpinsandneedles.com. Welcome to this channel that is all about sewing, limitless sewing. Today I'm here to share my Nellie joggers from Pattern Scout. I made a pair quite a while back ago for Patreon, and I didn't make mine as joggers. You'll see why in a little bit, but they are full of amazing details. Really nice to look at and also comfortable. This is a flat front elasticated back, but the back doesn't have that much ease that it allows you to pull up your pants. So these are not pull-on pants. That's why you need that fly front zipper. You just cannot get around to not having it. You do need it to get into your pants. Nice big patch pockets on the front with a curved opening. The way that curved opening in the patch pocket is finished to do the facing, which I love that. That is something I have added myself to patterns that don't have that, so thumbs up from me. At the back you have patch pockets as well. The leg goes all the way down, and at the bottom you just have a larger hem allowance that you fold up, sew and thread an elastic through to get that cuff looking detail, which would be the typical detail of a jogger. It's a woven jogger. I decided not to do that. I decided to just leave my pants normal. I'll talk about that in a little while. On the side, between the front and the back leg, you have a piece that's about 1 inch wide that goes between them. It's just a feature that's there, I suppose, for aesthetics. It's top stitched down. I think it looks really cool. Doesn't make sewing the pants harder or easier at all. What I really like is the way that the waist is finished. It's got a facing on the inside, which is golden. I think it's easy to sew, and it's also super comfortable. It feels amazing on your stomach to have just a layer of fabric in there rather than having a waistband which composes of more layers. So I really love the way that this is finished on the top. Before we keep going with this pattern review, I wanted to let you know that today's Feature Friday pattern at Love Notions is the Lincoln. I'm wearing this one right here that is sleeveless. It's got the original boat neckline, Ponte Roma. I've actually worn this last weekend to go to church with a pencil skirt. You can see some images here. It's got such lovely details with this asymmetric placket here on the front. I love that. Later on, when you see my Nellie joggers styled, I'll be using my 3 Lincoln sweaters to go with them, so you can see those as well. Remember, on Fridays there's always a pattern that's featured, only $5 just for one day, so make sure you don't miss out on this really fun pattern. I do already have a few videos about this pattern along with some neckline hacks, and I've used different fabric. Also, I have a discount code that you'll find in the description box and the pinned comment. Let's get back to the Nellie joggers. This pattern is designed for woven fabrics. I think medium weight fabrics are going to be the best ones. Lightweight would end up being too floppy. Heavy might be a little bit too bulky. Medium weight denim, a linen cotton blend, maybe a chambray if it's hefty enough. And then if you want something with a little bit of drape, you can use a tencel twill, which I have found in heavier weights, medium weights. Also, a linen rayon blend would look really nice. The bit of rayon would just give it a little bit of a different look, although you don't need the fabric to be drapey at all. I'm just saying you could choose a more structured fabric or one with a little bit of drape. Both would look amazing. In my case, I chose an amazing scrumptious denim. I wish I'd had more. I wish I'd bought more. I'm just kicking myself because when I buy fabric online, sometimes I don't really know how it's going to feel when I touch it, and then I love it, and then I go and see if I can get more, and there's no more. But anyway, I'm happy I have enough for these pants, and it's a grey. It's going to be a staple. It's going to go with everything. Really easy to work with, and it's just the perfect hand. It's structured but not too stiff. After a couple of washes, it feels amazing on the skin, and it was really easy to work with. Other notions that you need a zipper for your fly front, depending on the size that you're making, from a 6 to 8 inch length. I prefer to work with longer zippers just because it's easier to trim away teeth later. So I wouldn't really worry. I would just go for a longer zipper and then just trim it off. You need some interfacing for some parts of the zipper fly, for the facings of the pockets and the facing. And then on the top, the way that you close it with a hook and bar, I just was not able to get my hands on any of that. I didn't even know what to call it here or how to look for it, so I just ended up doing a buttonhole and a button, which works just as well. For the back that's elasticated, you need a small piece of 2-inch elastic. Goes up to a 60-inch hip, and in the pattern it says it's designed for a woman that's 5'9", so tallish. I'm 5'8", so I didn't really anticipate having many fitting issues because it's designed for someone a little taller. It's got a 27.5-inch inseam, so I think they're meant to be a little bit shorter than the regular type of pant, but that's something that you can always adjust. And then there's also a shorts version. It has a 5-inch inseam, really short in my opinion. If I made the shorts, which I haven't, I'd probably add 2 or 3 inches in length there. If you are a little shorter, no worries, because you have several adjustment lines here for you to be able to customize, both on the rise areas, front and back, and on the legs. So no worries, you still need to do your custom fitting. I was just not anticipating to have many issues here. When you look at the size chart and you plot your measurements down and you look at the finished garment measurements, you see that the finished waist is a little smaller than the waist measurement, but it's not that it's like that. It's because there's an elastic on the back that's going to make it fitted. But if you don't put the elastic in, I measured the actual pattern pieces and the waist actually has about 3 inches of ease. That amount of ease is going to be brought in by the elastic at the back, so your pants are not going to fall down. That's what makes them comfortable. You're going to be able to sit down and just live your life really comfortable with a pair of fitted trousers. But the ease isn't enough for you to be able to get them over your hips without needing that fly zipper there. So if you saw the previous episode where I talked a little more in depth about blending sizes and choosing sizes, I used the Nellie joggers as an example. So I'm not going to touch on that here much at all. Just so you know, I sewed a size 18 waist and a size 16 hip, and I had to blend the lines in there, including the facings. Go and see the details in the previous episode so you can have more of an understanding about the process there. Easy peasy. I did do a test garment. I ended up not wanting to do that cuff at the bottom because it's just not my style. I have tried that style before. It just does not suit me. Or maybe if it does, I just do not feel comfortable. It's just not my jam. But I wasn't going to discard this pattern just because of that, because you can just not sew that and just not put an elastic in there, and then you just get a regular pant. In order to achieve that, I did have to add a little bit of length on the legs. And as for the rise, I had to do some minor rise adjustments that you see in this chart right here. Remember, I discussed all of that in the previous episode. The full sew along from start to finish here in a lot of detail is on my Patreon page, so that's content that is already there. You can have access if you belong to the Orchid Tea. I'm going to show you a summary of general construction, the pattern pieces and the facing. Now this is similar to the facing technique I used in the Largo Cargos, which is a pattern from Love Notions. I have a full video showing you that in detail. Now I would do that exact technique over here as well. It would work just the same. It's just that this one's a little bit different. There's a few steps that are different in the way that you put on the shield, which I've done differently with the other pattern, but they would be interchangeable. These techniques would work just as well. So let's see about how this is finished up there on the top, including how you put on the elastic at the end and all of that fun stuff. There aren't many pattern pieces that need to be interfaced. 2 waistbands, one for the left, you can see it's shorter, and the one on the right is longer. And because they are asymmetric, it's important that we cut these with the fabric right sides up. I'm block fusing, so I already have a piece of denim here that's going to fit my pieces, and I have already interfaced. I think this is much easier. This little curved piece is going to be the facing for the front patch pocket. Those also need to be interfaced. I've also interfaced this piece of denim that's going to fit my piece prior so that I can block fuse. I'm just going to go ahead and cut them out. I'll do this with anything knits, woven, lightweight, heavyweight, anything that needs interfacing. I'll do it like this, and I'm really confident that my facing is going to keep the same shape and size, won't shrink because the interfacing is already on there. Here are all the pattern pieces with the exception of the back patch pockets. I've currently got that on my muslin. This is the front leg that we see here. This long piece is the panel that's going to go between the front and the back leg. This type of fly front has that integrated front extension there, so you don't need to sew on another piece, but that area needs to be interfaced, and there is a pattern piece for that. It's interfaced on both sides. This is the back leg, that is the back facing. It's on the fold. This back facing is not interfaced, and it makes sense because it's going to have an elastic inside, so if you want it less bulky, it makes sense that it's not interfaced. These 2 pieces are the 2 waistbands for the front. They are asymmetric. One is longer than the other, as you already saw. This is the front patch pocket with the facing that's going to finish the pocket opening right there. This is the fly shield. I am doing a quick stay stitch to the edge of the waistlines for both the front and the back pieces. They are anatomic. They aren't just rectangles on the top. They do have a curve, and there is always the risk of this stretching out. The 2 front legs are ready. The patch pocket is on. The top stitching is done. The side panel has been sewn and top stitched. Now we are going to start start sewing the zipper, and the first step is to put both front legs together like this. And this is the interface side of the fly extension here. Where you fuse that piece is actually where the seam line is. This is an easy zipper technique, and I already have a video on my channel showing you exactly how to do that. Please have a look at that one to see how to sew this. But there are a few differences with the fly shield, which is something that happens later, so I will show you that when it gets to that point. Let's grab our shield. This is the shape. It's got that little curve right there. What we're going to do is fold this right sides together like this, and we are going to sew down this little curve there. You take out a tiny triangle. It's going to make it less bulky inside. Okay, that's how it looks. Now I'm going to flip it. The important thing is that the raw edges stay together there. The right facing hasn't been serged there. It's still raw. Everything's tucked underneath. I'm going to take this edge of the zipper tape that's just loose and sort of pin it away from here, because we don't want to catch this when we sew the shield on. So we're going to take our shield. If I look at it like this, I do want this to cover all this ugly business, so I'll just place it right there, just so that it's covering it. But I'm going to have excess on the top, and that's fine. So I'm going to align this raw edge to the raw edge of the facing right here. And now at this stage is where we're going to serge all these layers together from the top down to the bottom. At the bottom, you're going to finish the facing there underneath, and then you have this thing by itself. Don't want to catch anything from here on this section. This actually covers all of this business, so nothing of this is going to touch. Now what we need to do is open up this basting stitch that we had done previously in one of the first steps. So now this just opens up straight away. You can see how the zipper is tucked in there. Now because we have better access, I can unzip this a little bit, and now I can hold this out of the way and finish top stitching this right here from there up to there. So I had already marked and hand basted this. I don't need a zipper presser foot to do this because I have full access. All I need to do is sew from there up to there. Now I'm not going to go all the way up to that seam because I have that zipper tape at the back, but as close as I can. So I was probably 1 or 2 stitches away from reaching there, but I couldn't get that close because I have all this at the back. So I've just threaded it through a needle, and I'm going to do these by hand. It won't be noticeable. I'm going to come out through the back right at the edge where that last stitch is, and then come up here. So it looks pretty seamless to me, like it's just a continuous seam. No one's going to know it was done in 2 sections. And I have my goal of keeping this loose. From where this has been sewn, I'm going to leave 3/8 just to be on the safe side. I'm going to cut that off there, and also over here. I'm going to pull out these excess teeth. Also, I just have a old plier that I use for this, and I just literally just pull them off. Don't worry, this is going to be covered later with the facing. So if you're worried what is going to happen with this raw area, don't worry. On the right wearer side, where we have the shield coming from the back, there's a little fold there. There's going to be like a little space. All we need to do at this point is here on the top and just baste it there to hold it in place. This little opening here is going to be important later. And so that little seam just keeps that in place. These facing pieces have an edge that's very straight. So these are the ones that are going to match the center here of this area. And then the slanted area of the facing is going to match the side seams over here. On the right wearer side, where the shield is, this is the longer piece. So we're just going to match that on the top. And this edge on the left wearer side, where we have this top stitching, we have this shorter facing. We're going to match them from the side seam and pin inward. Here are the facings sewn. You can see the side seams match right here. And on the right side, where you have the zipper shield, it protrudes a little bit longer right there. On the left side, we also start from the side seam, and it protrudes a little bit less, like that. Okay, after sewing the back crotch seam and top stitching, now we can attach the back facing, and then just meet everything along the edge right here, pin it, and sew it just the same way we did with the front facings. I'm going to trim the seam allowance. 5/8 is way too much to have in there, so I'm going to trim it down to about 1/4, and I'm going to do this for the back waistband and for both the front waistbands. Same thing. The other thing I'm also going to do is trim this fold a little bit also. It's 5/8. I think it's too much. So I'm also going to trim this down to about 3/8. You can see the shape here is a little curved. So I'm going to do a few snips here. We are going to do some understitching. Facings on my left hand. This is the pant. Remember, we always put the seam allowance underneath the facing when we want to hide the facing. But I don't want to start right there because I need to unite these to the back facing later. So I'm going to start understitching a little further, like maybe 3/4 of an inch this way. I'm going to understitch the back facing also. Now that both facings are on for the front and the back, we can finally put the back and the front legs together and pin them. So these seams are matching. This is the facing area, and then it's just a really long seam that goes all the way down. Remember, we have these side panels. We had already sewn one side of the panel onto the front leg ages ago. That's already done, and now we're completing it and sewing it to the back. I've just gone ahead and given it a press here. You can see the understitching keeping the facings inside, and we have our pants with the fabric right sides up. Now this side where we have the top stitching, the left side on the wearer's side, super easy to sort out. I might have to pull out 2 more zipper teeth. Looking at the pants from the inside on the left, this is a little fold we had already done. Now we fold it again so that we have a nice edge, and then we fold this back, and then the inside of the facing, which was already pre-folded, is going to reach right there on top of where I removed all those zipper teeth, and that is how the left side is going to be finished. And on the right side where we have the fly extension, I have a feeling I'm going to need to remove 1 or 2 more teeth. Anyway, you can see all this protruding, right? So this is folded there, that's folded there. So this bottom edge is going to fit right here and cover the raw edge of the zipper tape. I was conservative when I did this at first. I would rather remove later than remove too many because you can't put them back. Basically all of this is going to be tucked into there, so I'll fiddle with it and tidy it up. Okay, so I've tidied this up. I've decided to go the extra mile and just hand sew this down. I think it looks neater. I also hand sewed that down. I have a thread that's 100% polyester. It's really fine. It's actually the same gray as this denim, and it was really easy to just go in there and just slip stitch underneath, and it's super neat. I did it really close together. It's really firm and you can't see anything. So I did the same there. This is the facing that was just tucked in there, and I also sewed that fold down. On the left side, this area that was just folded there and pinned, I also sewed it by hand, and I sewed that little section by hand also. I don't regret it. It's worth it for me. I think it just looks more delicate than if I try to sew all these layers with top stitching. You can top stitch this there and there and there if you want to. I just prefer to do it with my hands. I've gone ahead and basted the whole facing all the way around. I'm gonna insert the elastic. All I need to do is leave an opening here on the side and one here on this other side. I'm going to be top stitching from the right side. My basting stitches will be my guide so that I'm sure to catch everything there. You can see that I've left a gap, so I'm going to stop there, pick up, leave an opening here. I won't back tack. I'll do that seamless way of finishing where you just pull the thread back and knot it, and then I'll keep going around the back. On this other side I also will leave a gap for the elastic, and then I'll keep going and finish on the front. This is the back part of the pants. You can see the top stitching there. This is going to be the casing for the elastic, and if you look here, a 2-inch wide elastic is going to fit nice and snug in there. With my muslin, I already tested how long I wanted it to be. When I want to just put elastic on the back, I calculate how much my waist measures at my natural waist, divide that in half, and then I take away like 2 or 3 inches maybe. So I already know how long it's going to be. Here I have my elastic. I've measured the amount that I need, and I've got a big safety pin on one of these ends. Over here I have one of these openings, and it's where I'm going to put my elastic through, and I'm just going to start threading it through until almost the end of the elastic is in this area. I managed to thread my elastic through. From the seam, the elastic is about 3/8 of an inch before that seam, so this is where I'm going to sew now and hold this elastic down. I'm going to do this from the right side, and I'm going to do it with a matching gray thread so it's not seen, and it's a type of stitch in the ditch. I'm going to sew right in that seam there, and that will keep this elastic in place. So here it's done. You can't see the seam. The elastic is caught inside. When I've done the same thing on the other side, I'm going to come back, change my thread to a top stitching thread, and finish sewing this part of the facing. Here they are, a little bit crinkled because I have just filmed myself wearing them. You can see it's a lovely gray. It's really nice. Here is the top stitching that holds the facing in. This is part of the patch pocket here with this curved opening and a facing, all top stitched with gray. For this project I had to keep changing my thread from the regular thread I was using to sew my seams and then the top stitching thread, and I kept it all gray just to make it more formal looking, straight here, and then it has a little angle, and then it goes over here onto the hip. Between the front and the back leg, you have this piece here that's top stitched. It's about 1 inch wide, and it's just really cool and decorative. I think it looks really nice with a solid fabric. With a print, I think it might distort the print. I'm sure I would not want to highlight this and make it another color. I am absolutely sure I would not do that. I have seen pants like that in the 80s or 90s, I think. No, so I wouldn't go doing contrasting things, but I think in a solid like this, and if it's top stitched discreetly, I think it looks really nice. And on the front, we have the fly front here, and instead of doing the hook and bar as per the pattern, I just did a regular buttonhole and button. The back has this elasticated feature with a 2-inch wide elastic in there. I always get the question, how do you know how much elastic to use? Sometimes patterns tell you. I'd rather discard that and know from experience that I just take half of my waist measurement and take 2 inches off. And that's the amount of elastic I use on any pant, skirt, or whatever that has an elastic back, because it's gonna give me the amount of ease that I want, and it's gonna bring it all in, and it's gonna fit me. So half your waist measurement minus 2 inches and you'll be good. That's what I used over here, and that is just tucked down right there. The patch pockets have that same angle here that you had on the front patch pocket there, so it's not exactly a rectangle, and that's really nice. The rest is just a front and a back leg. I have the most regular hem you've ever seen instead of the cuff feature with the white elastic at the bottom. And I just got this really amazing pair of pants I'm gonna love wearing. Gray is a color that I don't have much of at all, and it's a color that actually matches every single color under the sun. It's like a true neutral. It will go with everything, from yellow to orange to purple to like navy and black and everything. That is how it looks like on the inside. It's all very neat. Seam allowance for this was 5/8, but then when I was serging, I trimmed it smaller. And it's just great. It's just such a great pair of trousers. So comfortable. That elastic at the back makes all the difference in the comfort and wear, but it doesn't have that much bulk either, so it's like you can't even see that it's there, and I find the fit outstanding. So let's see these ones on, see how they fit. I've styled the pants with my 3 Lincoln tops from Love Notions, the feature Friday today, so you can see them again. So let's see. Here are my Nellie joggers from Pattern Scout, size 18 waist, blended into a 16 hip, medium weight grey denim, softened up, beautiful to wear at this point, super comfortable. At the hem, you can see I've done a regular hem and not the elasticized cuff as per the original pattern, but it doesn't make any difference because all the rest is the same. I've got it paired here with one of my Lincoln sweaters from Love Notions, a sleeveless hacked version in houndstooth. I think it looks really nice with the grey, and some accessories in burgundy, which I really love. Here you can see how the waist fits. It's a wide facing inside, super comfortable. The fly front, patch pockets on the front, nice amount of space on the patch pocket, although for me they're always decorative. And look at those cute diagonal buttons on the sweater. I think that's really nice. There you can see that 1-inch side panel that unites the back and the front legs. Patch pockets on the back, sort of rectangular but with some angles, and the elasticized area on the back, which gives you that wearing ease, but it's not enough to make these a pull-up pant. As usual, I made some rise adjustments as to be expected, added a bit of length to the legs, and other than blending sizes, the fitting process was very straightforward and not hard to do at all. Very happy with the result. I know I'm gonna wear these a lot because grey literally goes with everything. If you don't have a nice pair of trousers in grey, you're missing out. I guess you could consider these to be sort of like jeans just because they're made out of denim, but they would look amazing also in linen. Here are my Nellie joggers again, this time paired with a blue sweater, some really nice navy booties that I have. This is a hack I did to the Lincoln sweater to add a square neckline from the Salt Whistle. Navy and grey of course go together because grey goes with everything. These pants are going to be a real staple in this color, in the style. The comfort is so amazing. It's really nice to see the details on the solid, like the diagonal plackets with those golden buttons. Everything fits so well, and I can use them in the winter or the summer. I can pair any style with this type of trouser as well. There are lots of nice details that I like when I'm sewing, like facings to finish the edge of the patch pockets on the front. The little angles on these pockets are nice too, they're not just rectangles. So there's so many nice details. The fly zipper is fun to sew, the facing inside as well. here is a more summery look with just some more heel sandals. Very walkable, very comfortable. And one of my Lincoln tops is the shortest version I've made in Ponte Roma, sleeveless with a boat neckline. I think you could wear any type of top with this type of pant. I think the amount of ease there is just perfect. Nicely fitted at the waist, but with that comfort from the elastic at the back and enough amount of space at the hip. I think it's really good, and it looks great with a shorter top like this one as well. Love the pants. What can I say? I think they're really good, worth making for sure. Going through the fitting process, not hard. Everyone has to do it. Making a test garment is always going to be helpful, and then you can pick out amazing fabric like this one and have great pants. This is definitely one I would like to sew again. It's such a comfortable fit. It's just a classic fit as well. Nothing trendy or not trendy. I think these types of pants can be worn always, and in a denim it would be really long lasting, and I think they're great. I think the pattern instructions, everything's really good. Remember, you can always change the way you sew things. Once you've tried a few methods, you can choose what you like best. The video I have showing you how to sew facings and fly fronts on pants separately, that is my preferred method. This one's just a little bit different, but in the end I could have sewn it whichever way I wanted. I would have had the exact same result. So have a look at these. I'm not affiliated to the brand. I don't have an affiliate link, nothing like that. There's no affiliate program as such, but I know when to recommend something that I really like, and I do really love this brand. Casey, she does really amazing things. She's got a really fun YouTube channel as well, so I'll link all her information down below as well. Don't forget to check out the Lincoln top today at Love Notions for only $5. Here in Brazil, it's like a super long weekend. My son has many days of school because of the carnival. The whole country is paralyzed here for the carnival. They have one in every city. It's not just the big one in Rio that you're most accustomed to knowing about. There's one everywhere. We don't engage. We just have a chill long weekend at home. So I'm really looking forward to it. I hope yours is as nice as mine's going to be. Bye.